Hello everyone, welcome back to another news video here at the Intent Hockey Channel. Today's video we got a couple of signings to talk about, a couple of injury updates to talk about. We're looking at a couple of players who have now officially retired from the NHL, and we're also looking at a couple of trade rumors involving the Ottawa Senators, the Winnipeg Jets, the LA Kings, and the Calgary Flames, which all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Intent Hockey Channel. Now before we get this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all your support. I'll never be able to with all of you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below so let's listen to this video. Now as usual, I'm going straight to this video off by discussing a few signings from over the past couple of days. Now we left off last time on April 11th in our last news video discussing all the signings up to that point. So we're going to be discussing all the signings between April 12th and April 15th. There were a handful of signings, 12 of them in total over that time frame, so we'll touch on all of those ones. And then in our next video, we'll hopefully finish up all the ones from April 16th up until the next news video, hopefully. So we'll see about that. But so we have a handful of signings here that happen over those 4 days. So start with the players who signed on April 12th. First, the Florida Panthers sent undrafted left winger Oliver Oculier to a one-year ELC with AAV of $870,000 that we're going to start next year. Now, Oculier will be playing over in Czechia. Last year, put up 13 goals and 29 points in 39 games. This year, 24 goals and 45 points in 52 games. A little more of an older prospect. Maybe he could eventually be a solid bottom six forward, but once again, it's another European player who's going over to sign an NHL contract. So very good stuff there for the Panthers, just to sign a solid player there in Oculier to a one-year ELC. We then also saw Florida Panthers signed another undrafted player, 25-year-old center Wilmer Skoog, to a one-year ELC with the AAV of $870,000 that we're going to start next year. Now, for Skoog, he's been playing over in the NCAA up until this past year. Skoog had 16 goals and 31 points in 37 NCAA games last year. 2 years ago, put up 15 goals and 30 points in 35 NCAA games. This past year, split time between the AHL and the ECHL. And the ECHL had 2 goals and 8 points in 20 games. And the AHL had 21 goals, 29 points in 47 games. So looks like a pretty good player. And I think Skoog should be able to be a solid player there for the Panthers, even if he's just a depth addition. So very good stuff there for Florida. Then we saw the Montreal Canadiens finally sign one of their top D prospects in the NCAA, and that's 2022 second round pick left shot defenseman Lane Hutson. It's a very fantastic stuff there for the Canadiens. He signed a 3-year ELC with an AAV of $950,000. That was for the rest of this year plus the next 2 seasons. So that's really good stuff there for the Canadiens. Hutson last year had a fantastic season, putting up 15 goals and 48 points in 39 games over the NCAA. This year had 15 goals and 49 points in 38 games. So once again, a little bit more production and one less game. So very good stuff there for Hutson. And then before this Canadian season finished, he got into 2 games of NHL action with Montreal and put up 2 assists. So it's very good stuff there for the Canadiens. And Hutson, I think, going forward should be a fantastic top 4 defenseman for years to come for the Canadiens. So very fantastic pick up there for the Canadiens to finally sign Hutson to his ELC. And now he's going to be a huge piece of that blue line going forward. Then we saw the Hawks sign with their top prospects, and that was former 13th overall pick in the 2022 draft, right wing / center Frank Nazar. Nazar signs a 3-year ELC with the AAV of $950,000. That's for the rest of this current season plus 2 more seasons after that. For Nazar, he'd also been playing in NCAA, had 2 goals and 7 points in 13 NCAA games last year. This year got to a lot more NCAA games and put up a lot more points, putting up 17 goals, 41 points in 41 NCAA games. He looked fantastic. So the Hawks bring him over. He winds up getting 1 goal, his first career NHL goal in 3 NHL games. So very good stuff there for Nazar. Wasn't an overly productive player, but he looked pretty good, and he should be a solid top 9 forward come next year for the Blackhawks. So very good pickup there for the Hawks. Then we saw Blues sign another one of their prospects, and that's center 2020 third round pick Dylan Peterson. Peterson gets a 2-year ELC with AAV of $868,000 that we're going to start next year. So Peterson been playing over in NCAA 2. Last year put 5 goals and 18 points in 39 games. This year has 8 goals and 20 points in 35 NCAA games. So a little bit more point production in a little bit less games. Fantastic stuff there for Peterson. He also got into 2 AHL games so far and has an assist. So Peterson looks like a pretty good player, and I think eventually could be a solid third line center for the Blues. So pretty good pickup there for St. Louis. Then we saw the Toronto Maple Leafs send 2016 6th round pick Nicholas Matinen, who's a defenseman, to a 1-year contract with the AAV of $125,000. That's a 2-way contract that we're going to start next year. Now Matinen was originally a 2016 6th round pick of the Maple Leafs, but left and now is re-signed with the Maple Maple Leafs. Very good stuff there. This past year, he played in the German League and the EL. Put up 16 goals and 46 points in 52 games. Looked pretty good. Maybe could eventually be a solid third pair defenseman, maybe a spare defenseman, but it's a pretty good pickup there for the Leafs to get some more depth on the defensive end. Then we saw the Anaheim Ducks sign one of their top prospects, and that was one of the guys they traded for earlier in the season. That was Gauthier, who was the 5th overall pick in the 2022 draft. The guy who they got from the Philadelphia Flyers for a second-round pick, and Jamie Drysdale. Gauthier, who's left winger / center, gets a 3-year ELC with the AV of $950,000. That'll begin to start next year. Gauthier is a pretty good player. Last year in the NCAA, put up 16 goals and 37 points in 32 games. This year, put up 38 goals and 65 points in 41 games. So he looked fantastic, nearly a goal per game at the NCAA level. He also played into his first NHL game in the Ducks season finale on Thursday and put up 1 assist and 1 point in his NHL debut. So very good stuff there for Anaheim. And Gauthier looks like he's going to be a fantastic top 6 forward long term. So fantastic pickup there for the Anaheim Ducks. Then we saw the Tampa Bay Lightning sent 2021 4th round pick Dylan Duke, who's a left winger, to a 3-year ELC with the AV of $868,000. That'll begin to start next year. Now Duke, once again, NCAA player, put up 18 goals and 32 points in 41 games last year, had 26 goals and 49 points in 41 NCAA games this year. So he looks fantastic. Also got into 2 AHL games, put up no points. So interesting stuff there, but that's a pretty good record there for Duke, who had looked like a pretty good prospect. Then the Calgary Flames sent undrafted goaltender Waltteri Ignatiju to a 1-year ELC with AV of $870,000 that began to start next year. Now for Ignatiju, he's been playing over in Allsvenskan this year, played 45 games over in Allsvenskan, put up a 2.34 GAA and a 918 save percentage. He looked pretty good. I think he should be a fantastic depth addition there for the Flames. Not sure if he'll ever get into any NHL action, but should at least be a solid depth addition and be a backup at the AHL level. So very good stuff there for the Flames. Then we saw Dallas Stars sign right wing / center Arttu Hiiri, who was undrafted forward to a 2-year ELC with an AV of $870,000 that began to start next year. Now he's been playing over in Carpet with Liga, put up 9 goals and 13 points in 46 games last year, had 14 goals and 31 points in 55 games this year. So he had been looking pretty good over with Carpet over the past little while, and I think eventually he should be a solid player there for the Stars. Then the Blue Jackets sent one of their top prospects, and that was 2023 second-round pick Gavin Brindley. Brindley, who's a center, gets a 3-year ELC with AV of $950,000. That'll get on the start this year and also be for the next 2 seasons. Very fantastic stuff there for Brindley. Last year over in the NCAA, put 12 goals and 38 points in 41 games. This year, 25 goals and 53 points in 40 NCAA games. He even got into 1 game of NHL action for the Blue Jackets in their season finale, and he didn't put up any points, had a 0 ±, so he looked pretty good, and hopefully he should be able to make the team next year. I see the future being a solid top 9 forward for the Jackets. And lastly here we saw the Philadelphia Flyers send left shot defenseman 2022 6th round pick Hunter McDonald to a 2-year ELC with the AV of $950,000 that will be the start of next year. McDonald had also been playing on the NCAA over the past a while, had a goal in 14 points in 35 games last year, had a goal in 6 points in 23 games this year, so definitely a little bit down in production. Has also gone to 10 AHL games with the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, which is the AHL's affiliate of the Philadelphia Flyers, and had 3 assists and a +6 rating, so it looks like a pretty good player. Maybe eventually could be a solid third pair defenseman for the Philadelphia Flyers, but that's a pretty good sign there for Philly. So those are all the signs they've had over the past couple of days. Lots of interesting ones, some pretty good prospects like Brindley, Gauthier, Nazar, and Hutson all getting assigned to new ELCs, and hopefully those guys are able to continue to sign contracts and get back into the NHL over the next little while. But those were some interesting signings from over the past couple of days. Going over to a quick look here at the injury update from the past few days. On Monday we saw a couple of injuries, including Imama have upper body injuries out for an period of time for Ottawa. Thompson has lower body injuries out for an period of time for Buffalo. Stevenson undisclosed injury, Month undisclosed injury both day for Vegas, and Baron has a lower body injuries out for an period of time for Winnipeg. But we saw Forbert in Boston, Barkov in Florida, Verhaeghe in Florida, Merzlikins in Columbus, Niederreiter in Winnipeg, Teravainen in Carolina, Malenstein in Washington, Edmondson in Toronto all be clear to play and get back in the game action. Then on Wednesday, we saw Cirelli have an undisclosed injury and is out day-to-day for the Bolts. Glendening has an undisclosed injury and is out day-to-day for the Bolts. But we saw Nazar in Jersey, Roy in Montreal, and Dodonov in Dallas all be cleared to play and get back into game action, so very good stuff there. Then we saw Ristolainen's arm injury be updated on Friday, and he's going to be out for the next 3 months. That's a bad blow for the Flyers. Connor Murphy has undisclosed injuries out day-to-day for the Blackhawks. That's a bad blow for the Chicago Blackhawks. And Blake Coleman was cleared to play from injuries, so very good stuff there for Calgary. And then yesterday on Friday, we saw Calle Yarncrook have a hand injury and is out day-to-day. Nylander has an undisclosed injury and is out day-to-day. Both are uncertain for a game later on against the Boston Bruins. Domi has been cleared to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Eric Blais has been cleared to play by the Florida Panthers. It's Fast upper body injury and is out for an unknown period of time. John Gabriel Pajot's lower body injury and is out day-to-day. And Noah Dobson has been cleared to play for New York Islanders. So a lot of interesting injuries the past couple of days. Good to see guys like Dodonov, Coleman, Edmondson, Teravainen, Niederreiter, Verhaeghe, and Barkov all be cleared to play and get back into game action. But bad news to see guys like Cirelli, Glendening, Mantha, Stevenson, Thompson, Pajot, Nylander all be out due to injuries right now, and hopefully those guys are able to get back into game action in the not too distant future. So interesting stuff there. Going over to a couple of players who have retired over the past couple of days. Now over the past couple of days, we did have a few guys retire. That included Jeff Carter over in Pittsburgh. He played his final game against New York Islanders when the Penguins lost 5-4. He called it a career after that. So Carter's had a fantastic career playing with, I think, Flyers, Jackets, Kings, and Penguins. There might be one more other team, but he had a fantastic career. So very good stuff there for Carter. We also saw Jakob Silfverberg play his final game at the NHL level when the Vegas Golden Knights played Anaheim Ducks. Jakob Silfverberg played the last game of his NHL career. So interesting stuff there. Silfverberg has been playing with the Anaheim Ducks for the majority of his career. Also played a little bit with the Ottawa Senators. So pretty good stuff there for Silfverberg. He had a long and pretty good career. So interesting to see him retire. There's a lot of talk that Zach Parise, once the season's done for the Colorado Avalanche, will retire. So this is going to be Zach Parise's final season at the NHL level. And also there's been some talk that Pavel Francouz, who's been out the entirety of this year due to an injury that was sustained in the offseason, will indeed retire and will not be pursuing any more NHL opportunities. So as much as Francouz has been a really good backup goaltender for the Avalanche, and I think could have a potentiality to sign somewhere in the offseason, he does wind up retiring, so he's not going to be on the free agent market next year. So a couple of guys in Jeff Carter, Pavel Francouz, Zach Parise when the Avalanche season ends, and Jakob Silfverberg have all retired and not going to be back into the NHL for next year. So interesting stuff there. And lastly here, going over to a couple of trade rumors from the past couple of days. We'll start with the Ottawa Senators because there's two things we want to talk about with the Senators. First, talking recently, one of the Ottawa Senators insiders, Bruce Garrioch, has said the Ottawa Senators did indeed kick tires on Linus Ullmark towards the trade deadline, and he would not be overly surprised if they circled back on him in the offseason. So it does sound like Ottawa has some serious interest in Linus Ullmark to try and bring him in. We know the Senators need some goaltending help. Korpisalo is probably the most likely to stay, while Forsberg, who's entering the final year of his deal, is most likely to be moved, but that Senators goalie tandem was not looking overly good, so they need to make a little bit of a change. Bruins need a little bit of a cheaper goaltender if they want to extend Swayman, so maybe they make a Forsberg Ullmark swap. Definitely not saying that's the only thing that will be involved. I think the Senators will have to move a first round pick. I think the Senators will have to move a really good young prospect, maybe a couple more pieces, so it'll be a really hard trade to pull off, but it'll be a trade that the Senators need to pull off if they want to keep on trying to improve and try and become a more competitive team. So Ottawa's going to need to make a move sort of like that, so it sounds like Ottawa will have some interest in Ullmark come the offseason. On top of that, there's been a lot of discussion around Jacob Chychrun. Chychrun, in his end of media press conference, did say that he was not focused yet on his future. He knew that his contract was about to expire. He also said that there had been no contract extension talks with Ottawa. So that called into question the fact that maybe Chychrun's not going to be signed in Ottawa. So he's going to be really interesting to watch out for. If they can sign him to an extension in the early parts of July or August, I think that they keep him, they move Shabbat. I think that's a very likely possibility. But if they can't find a way to keep Chychrun in the offseason, I think there's a very likely chance that he gets moved if you can't find common ground and extension. So it will be interesting to see what happens there in Ottawa, but I would expect Chychrun to be a huge talking point this offseason. We'll have to wait and see if Chychrun winds up being signed or if he does not, so we'll have to wait and see on that. Going over to the Calgary Flames, another guy who has a future uncertain right now and has sort of murky his water as well. And the end of your press conference is Igor Shrangovich. Now Shrangovich, just like Chychrun, as of July 1st will be entering the final year of his deal. Shrangovich has had a fantastic season with Calgary. Put up, I think, over 20 goals. Has been a really good goal scorer for them, one of the more productive players in Calgary this year. But when asked about potentiality of staying in Calgary, he said he doesn't know what the future holds, and he'll have to wait and see exactly what happens after this year. He could have said that he wants to remain in Calgary, but he didn't. So I'm not exactly sure if his future is going to be in Calgary. Not saying it won't be. But I think the Flames would love to sign Shrangovich. He's a younger forward. He works with that group. They're trying to retool, so he's sort of a player that the Flames would really like to keep. But like I said, he's going to be UFA in a year's time. Would he want to remain in Calgary beyond this year? Not exactly sure. And given how well and productive his season was this year, he'll have a lot of suitors if he hits the free agent market next offseason. So it will be an interesting situation to watch out for, but it does sound like Shrangovich is going to be a situation to watch out for. If he's not willing to sign an extension with the Calgary Flames, I think there's a very likely chance the Flames could move him this offseason, so we'll have to wait and see on that situation. Next one, which Winnipeg Jets. Now, this has come up a little bit over the season. I've seen it come up a little bit recently too from a couple of reporters, but could Cole Perfetti be a trade target by the Winnipeg Jets? Now, Perfetti's been a really good young forward for the Winnipeg Jets. He's been actually working out quite well in the Winnipeg Jets organization as like a solid young bomb six forward, but he has been healthy scratch sometimes this year. I think reached either 19 or 20 goals this year and has had a pretty good season, but there have been a couple of people who think that with him being healthy scratched a couple of times and not being an overly productive player, that he might wind up being a player who winds up getting traded in the offseason. Now, there'll be a lot of teams interested. I've seen a lot of people say that if the Perfetti was to be dealt, a team like Calgary who's looking for some more younger forwards could be a team who was interested. If Perfetti was available, I think Utah would have some interest. Bring in a player like that who could definitely work in that top nine. I think Buffalo could have some interest. San Jose could definitely have some interest. Chicago, Anaheim, Ottawa, Montreal. There'll be a ton of teams interested in a guy like Cole Perfetti. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there. Not saying it's a guarantee Perfetti gets traded. Perfetti's a really good young player. I think there's a very likely chance that he stays, but I definitely do think that there's going to be a very likely chance that if doesn't have a really good playoffs and he sort of falls out of favor again with Rick Bowness, there's a possibility I think that Perfetti could be dealt in the offseason, so we'll have to wait and see on that. And lastly, with the LA Kings, there's a very likely chance, according to a couple of people now, that the LA Kings explore at the very least Pierre-Luc Dubois trade this offseason. Now, Dubois was acquired by the LA Kings in the offseason from the Winnipeg Jets. They were hoping he would be a really good fit there, signed a long-term 8-year deal, and he's not been overly fantastic. I mean, he was brought in to be a solid second, third line center. He's spent a lot of time on the fourth line this year. He's not been the player that the Kings were hoping they were getting when they moved Velarde, Kupari, and a couple of other pieces for them. So it's been a really bad pickup there for the LA Kings, and they really do want to try and make this work, but if he has a really bad playoffs and he continues to fade into existence with the LA Kings, I think there's a very likely chance we could see the LA Kings wind up moving him. Now, I'm not exactly sure it's a guarantee. He has a really high cap hit. He has a longer term deal. I think it would be a difficult trade, but we know that Dubois' preference has always been to play Montreal. Could the Kings trade him to Montreal and try and get a package in return? The Canadiens and Kings have been linked in the past to making a deal work. I know there's been some speculation about a Gallagher trade, so I do wonder if that's a potentiality there to be happening this offseason if Dubois does not show that he can bounce back in the playoffs. I definitely do wonder if there's a potentiality here to be traded in the offseason and potentially to a team like Montreal, so we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens there. But definitely, those are all those trade rumors we want to talk about here today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. What do you think about all the trade rumors we talked about? Do you think Dubois could be moved by the LA Kings? And if so, do you think he could go back to Montreal even though he's on a longer term deal? Or do you think the Kings are most likely stuck with that contract? Do you think that Perfetti could be moved by Winnipeg Jets? Do you think that'll be a smart move? And do you think that that'll be a really good move for the Winnipeg Jets? Could you see the Calgary Flames move Igor Shrangovich if he's not willing to sign? And if so, where do you think Shrangovich fit the best fit? And what do you think about Ottawa? Does Chychrun get moved? And are they able to go after Linus Ullmark this offseason? Definitely. Let me know your thoughts on all that down in the comment section below. Plus, what do you think about the retired players, the injury updates, and the signing updates? Definitely. Let me your thoughts on all that down in the comment section below. So I'm going to talk for today. If you like this video, and if you like to subscribe down below. Thank you for all of your support and I will to love you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below so I'll discuss in today's video. I also have a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So if you check that out, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. And can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.